having family and friends in 3 different continents makes it a little bit complicated unless you're the person bumping around and going to see them. So I'm grateful for it, but I have to hopefully get the chance to keep the lifestyle of being remote that we are so lucky to have now.
You are coming from outside and you find yourself, maybe for example, now you are in Germany, you are a resource both to German businesses, German company, and possibly also a resource for companies, for country where you are coming from. Okay, you reside in the US or even in Brazil, because you can have a triangle of opportunity now. That you could call a business in the Rio de Janeiro and say, oh, there is something that I know that can profit you. So you bring business to them, and to the business also that are already in Germany, or maybe to those in the US.
A strategic partnership, you would say, is where somebody has a bigger need and has a bigger, let's say, investment that they want to put in to, let's say, a technology partner, and then they want them to help them either solve a problem that they can't technologically accomplish, or they want to reach different customers, or they want to retain more customers. So they pull in somebody from the outside, and they either pay for their services or they exchange their services. And then with that, they try to grow or keep more of their customers. And at the end of the day, the bigger outcome is just to have more or bigger customers there, at least from what the ones I've worked with. My name is Victoria Brito. I am based in Berlin currently. I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Then I spent most of my life in Orlando and Miami in Florida. And then I moved to Berlin about 5 years ago. And along the way, met lots of wonderful people. And I would say my biggest passions have been connecting people and building strong relationships across borders, as well as, fitness activities too.
Oh, that's good. So you also do fitness.
Yes, I'm really passionate about it too.
All right. So how has the movement been for you? Because you moved from Brazil to Germany. So you are an international girl, an international woman, we can put it like that, though.
Yes. Yeah, I even make jokes too, because I thought that the first culture shock was coming to the States, but I think that even as I was older, the culture shock between going from America to Germany was even bigger, but just as rewarding, if not even more so.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's lovely. So tell me a bit about what do you do today? Because I wish we have a lot of time, but I understand from my understanding we're not going to have much time. But it's okay. Let's just go straight to that. Tell us about what you do today.
So I work with B2B partnerships and with helping different businesses. I am mostly working with B2B partnerships, and I source and build these partnerships and see them through their entire lifetime.
So how do that make you feel, being able to work with maybe different partners? In this case, I want to understand that they are not only in Germany, you also work with businesses that are outside Germany, so we can call them international businesses, right?
Yes. Actually, the businesses I work with started off in the Nordics, and then that grew into being the Nordics in the UK, and then that also grew to involving the DACH, or the German-speaking region, and then that also evolved to working with some North American partnerships too. So I think the key word is North.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Coming from Brazil, now you are sort of being able to create this connection across border. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really proud and fulfilled, actually, to be able to adapt to different cultures. When I had first started working in the partnership space, they told me, okay, here you go, here's EMEA, figure out what to do with it. The world is your oyster. And even though I speak mostly, let's say, Southern European languages, I was able to see, like, follow different patterns. This is around COVID time as well. See what was opening, see what was, opening their eyes as well as their doors. And I realized I had some more successes and was able to meet more business challenges over in the Nordics. And then that is what got me to get more success there and develop my career in that region first.
Now, in terms of maybe the languages, also, okay, you talk of a cultural shock before. Okay, let's explore that a little bit because that will be important also in the area of business, because in business, you're also dealing with culture, no? Because you deal with people, so you also deal with everything that have to do with people. So tell me about the cultural shock that you had when you moved from the US to Germany.
I think the most difficult part was that as a kid, you're kind of learning and adapting, and you just you absorb things a lot more quickly. And it wasn't easy. I remember it was not easy. And I did something as ridiculous as putting some ketchup on your pizza, which is normal in Brazil and America. And then everyone said, "Oh my gosh, this girl is really strange." But then I didn't do that in Germany. But I thought that the biggest shocks were that your day-to-day activities, you feel like you already just are thrown in there. Like when you go grocery shopping, you have to know to already get like everything very quickly. When you go to certain places, like I learned that if it's not tip-based, you better know what you were talking about or have somebody else that will, because they might just want to be able to get through their day and not have to adapt to you not knowing what's going on.
And was it easy for you to sort of catch up along the way? Because, of course, now I want to believe that you are speaking the language fluently. Of course, I can also imagine in my case, because I came to Italy in 2004. When I was new here, they told me that in Italy, when you want to tell somebody good morning, you say buongiorno. I remember at the point, I have forgotten that it was called buongiorno. I didn't even know the word I was going to use for it. So I remember that they were saying that there was some Nigerian words that look like Italian. So then there is a Nigerian word that is called mecholu. Mecholu is an Igbo language. Mecholu means keep quiet. So I said, maybe this is what they are saying. So when I see somebody, I will say Becholo. They look like, okay, I didn't say the word. They will sort of, maybe Bojono. Because, of course, it's early in the morning, no? When you say Bojono, people respond to you Bojono. When I say Becholo, they don't know what I mean. They imagine that I've said Bojono, so they respond Bojono. Then I sort of catch it up at the end of the day. Okay, that is the way it's supposed to be. So what I'm saying now is that sometimes when we don't understand language, we can mess up a lot of things, no? But it's also fun because you are practicing, you are learning, no? Because if you don't, if you keep your mouth shut because you don't know what you're supposed to say for this, you don't say anything, you will never know anything. So, but if you open your mind now that you are willing to make mistakes because you want to learn, you will make mistakes, but you will learn. So I don't know if how it was easy for you to catch up at the end of the day. And of course, now you are, of course, being able to navigate your way around in business. But how was it for you in those early times?
The most difficult part, I would say, with German is that, I mean, I speak English, Portuguese, Spanish, and French, and all to like a pretty advanced level. And then you put me in German, and it's the first language that I really struggled with. And I just thought, why is this so hard? I've done this multiple times. And so it made me a bit discouraged at first, similarly to what you were saying. But the things that gave me a little bit more hope were when I would learn a few phrases that are very unique. And then I would use these phrases in settings when I would probably not say too much more. And then I would say, like, there's one called Man gewöhnt sich daran. And that means you get used to it. And I would just throw that in there when people would least expect it. And they're like, oh, okay, you understand this. And then they would just talk to me more. And then I would just be like, yes, genau, you know. But getting that little bit of like a reinforcement of, oh, okay, you do understand it. This, you know, you are trying to get in with us. That would encourage me to be less shy and to try again. And just like what you said, if you don't try and you don't speak, then you're never going to go anywhere. And my other way of doing this, like, even though I made German friends and they're very kind and very helpful, was to test this out with people that I would never see again. So if I felt like I looked like a fool, then it's fine because I'll never see that person in that cafe again. And that's how I got over the nerves to really like adapt and test things out. And then you learn, just volume, and keep trying, whether it's in a language setting or in a sales setting. And then don't be afraid of failure. Just keep going.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. But how did you get into business? Let's talk more, because of course that is where we are spending most of the time today. Tell me, how did you? Were you already in that before you traveled, or was it something you studied, or was it something you got into? Help us understand that.
I originally actually thought I was going to go the medical route, and when I was in the States, I studied more of like the pre-medical prerequisites, and then I got into the field, worked in it for a few years, thought it was fascinating, but then just the way that medicine was going, I thought, okay, I'm not sure this is the area for me. I think I would like to work with people in different settings where they're not necessarily coming because of an issue that is going to affect their health. And then I switched into doing some in-between time stuff with trade shows, and I would present to different products, and I would, help with these initial lead generation tactics. And then with that, I saw an opportunity when I was moving to Berlin to work as a business development representative. And they said, okay, we want somebody who's multicultural, multilingual, and can help us really start these conversations and break the ice with people. And so, that's how I got into the area where I'm in today.
That's good. That's good. You see, sometimes because we are people coming from different culture, okay, I want to say immigrant, you find yourself in another country or in another terrain. To some people, it might be a disadvantage, but in another occasion, it can also be an advantage for you. Because I remember, for example, in my case now, I live in Italy. For the fact that I know how to speak Italian and I also know how to speak English, I have an advantage, no? But of course, there are some things that I cannot access because I am not Italian. But there are things that I can do that some other persons might not be able to do, like you were saying before. Because there are some businesses, of course, that need people who understand the local language, because the local language is very important. So, of course, I'm saying that to any other person that is listening to us who maybe find yourself in a situation or in a country where the people don't speak your language. Never look at it as a disadvantage. All you just need to do is to learn their language. It is very important. It is not the people that need to learn the language of you, where you are coming from. You don't have the power to be able to do that. It is you that need to learn their language. But if you learn their language, that is one thing. You have that advantage. But if you also know the language of other people, where you are coming from, and in this case now, look at English. English is the language of the world. If you want to put it like that, there is nothing we can do about that. That is a huge advantage for you. So I see that you find yourself in another country, you are able to speak one or two languages. It's a good thing for you. At least I see it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely a great advantage. And to be honest, my French was kind of in the gutter when I had first gotten to Berlin. But because I was working in such a multinational environment, I just started getting the courage to try to pick that back up again. But it is a huge advantage. And the thing I learned the most out of being in these places, even with German, I would say out of all my other languages, it's still not as strong because it's just a very complex language. But instead of creating walls and borders, just like what you said, try to find where you are sought after. Even with the first opportunities, when they said, okay, go out there in Europe and find your opportunities, I could have kept knocking on the same 5 doors trying to get these people to talk to me, or I can just keep trying new things or find where people want to talk to me. So if I know that, let's say, this neighborhood or this like person doesn't necessarily like want me around, go where you are wanted, like talk to the person that talk to the nice shop man that wants to talk to you, find out who the nicer people are and use that as your entryway to build your rapport, to build your your status of like somebody trustworthy. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to show people that they can trust you.
Absolutely.
If they don't know what you are about. So if this is a girl who's coming from a different country and she's freshly in Berlin, I should have shown them, hey, I'm making an effort. I want to learn about you. I think that your 4, let's say, like musical artists are really cool, or I really think that this was a cool part about your history. And you show them like, I am here to be part of you too. And that's also a key of immigration in general. I think, when you go somewhere new, you want to show them like, I don't want to throw away my culture, but I want to make yours as much of a priority as my own. So I want to have both in there in a very important way.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. Of course, that again is an advantage for you now. Because imagine, maybe for example, you return to Brazil where you're coming from. Let's be specific, in Rio de Janeiro, that's a city, right? So you know something that the people there don't know because they have never traveled like you have traveled, no? Of course, you might have missed something because when you were away, they were also growing. They didn't wait for you, no? But now you also have something that they don't have. So it's an advantage for you here. It's also an advantage for you when you get home. But it's also, there are something that you are losing here. There are also something that you are losing there. It depends on you. What sense do you make out of that? That is up to you.
Yeah, and it also is it's a trick of, I'm blessed to have been able to travel so much and to make my own experiences. And when I realized that I'm my own companion, that's the best companion, I've gotten to see so much more instead of waiting for other people. But at the same time, by having chosen to pick up and leave my second continent to go to a third continent where I wanted to check out the lifestyle and the way of being, I'm now at a point where nowhere really feels like home. And even if I think of where could I go to next, or where could I do this next, it's like nowhere's gonna really be like that same feeling of when you only knew one small thing, and it's beautiful and difficult at the same time.
That is interesting. And that takes us to say at the centerpiece of what you are doing today, which is you are in business that sort of deal with internationals, no? And of course, I want to ask you a question that should also already make sense. Why are you more interested in international aspect of the business instead of maybe local? Like maybe you could maybe concentrate on businesses that are only within the area of Berlin. But instead, in this case now, you are more interested in businesses that are having international reality today. Tell me more about that. Why?
So it started off as me seeing an opportunity with businesses that were located in the Nordics and in Benelux because they had English as a second language, and most of them were not opposed to speaking it in comparison to let's say France or Italy, where they have bigger populations, or even Germany too, and they just expect you to speak it more that way. So that's how I started going to the Nordics and Benelux and finding opportunities there. But then when I had those successes too, then people said, okay, we might have an opportunity here. And sure, if somebody wanted to begin with their own language, I mean, we have so many tools nowadays. We have DeepL, Google Translator, etc. Now we have AI too. So yeah, if this is what they're comfortable with, adapt, be a chameleon. So I would throw it in there. But I just went to where my first opportunities and where I was having the most success were first. And instead of trying to sit there and wait until my German was perfect, be ready to go, and then source new opportunities there. It just felt like it was a higher barrier to entry than going to different markets.
Oh, right. Different market. And in this case, of course, looking at international partnership. Now, what would be your best way of describing maybe strategic international partnership for people that are maybe listening to us and perhaps they also want to learn. They also want to follow your steps. You see, one of the things I actually enjoy doing what I'm doing is because we are talking about story. We are telling the story of people. And as we are telling the story of people, we are helping some other persons to understand that, hey, you are not alone. Because by sharing your story, now somebody can look at the story of Victoria and say, me too. Maybe I'm not coming directly from Brazil, but I'm coming from Argentina. I'm coming from Peru. I find myself in France, or I'm in UK, or I'm in Germany like you, or I'm in Italy. Maybe I can learn from your experience if I'm newer, or I can, maybe I should have done like this if I'm older, no? So tell me, how do you describe international partnership in your own way?
These partnerships are partnerships where you can't forget the core essence of it. Both of them want to win, right? So one area where I see a little bit of difficulty is when people say, okay, we're going to call it a partnership, but in reality, it's only one area taking away the success, right? So a strategic partnership, you would say, is where somebody has a bigger need and has a bigger, let's say, investment that they want to put in to like, let's say, a technology partner, and then they want them to help them either solve a problem that they can't technologically accomplish, or they want to reach different customers, or they want to retain more customers. So they pull in somebody from the outside, and they either pay for their services or they exchange their services. And then with that, they try to grow or keep more of their customers. In the end of the day, the bigger outcome is just to have more or bigger customers there, at least from what the ones I've worked with.
All right. So before we look into marketing, like I was saying before, because you are coming from outside and you find yourself, maybe for example, now you are in Germany, you are a resource both to German businesses, German company, and possibly also a resource for companies, for country where you are coming from. Okay, you reside in the US or even in Brazil, because you can have a triangle of opportunity now. In that you could call a business in Rio de Janeiro and say, oh, there is something that I know that can profit you. So you bring business to them, and to the business also that are already in Germany, or maybe to those in the US, no? So what is your take of the opportunity that we are sitting on as immigrants that are living in other country?
Your opportunity, the best that you can do is to show that you are there to improve that country, and you want to commit to that country as well. So while you might have your other goals, and while it might not be there for while I'm not sure if Germany is the place where I want to retire, but I know that it's the place that has gotten me to be, or I know it's the place where I first got to try to work in international business. And so I'm really grateful for that. And so I want to, help give a better image to these German businesses. My take is, show that you are an international asset. Show that you have these skills, but that you can still meet their core requirements and their core goals. So it wouldn't make sense for me to say, oh, I'm going to Germany with my background. I want to work in legal, in the legal world. So I'm going to apply for that. No, I don't have a legal background. I could not learn this. I could not, adapt to that within a day. It would take a lot more time than knowing which of my skills I can transfer into that culture, into the jobs I can fulfill, and then seeing what can I find on resources like LinkedIn, YouTube, different media channels, different classes I can take, so that I can already have the core, and then jump in there and then apply and build your network like crazy. And that's how you be able to, get started if you're going to a new market, making sure that you have not just like the basic things that make them trust you, like the skills that make them trust you, but also the background and the adaptability to learn and get them to trust you and give you opportunities.
Get them to trust you. All right. Now, without revealing exactly maybe the name of your company, tell me, which businesses have you worked with, or which type of businesses have you worked with that have helped you to learn the more in terms of this international opening, that you can now see other opportunity or see more opportunity out there, relate with people, talk with people at international level. So share with me some of your experiences.
I worked mostly with, let's say, media agencies that were trying to mostly with media agencies that wanted to either retain their customers, or they wanted to offer a new product, or they wanted to find a new line of revenue. But then sometimes we saw, okay, this kind of business also wants to retain more of their customers. So then we would just discover, what are their pain points? Why are they losing customers? And then how would we be able to come in and with our product, give them something more interesting to want them to have them stay. And either buy more or be less likely to cancel. So those were the two opportunities that we really identified. And then between media agencies, software vendors, sometimes consultancies, sometimes consultants that were independent, and they just saw an opportunity to help a big client, that usually enterprises, to get more business.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, when you are looking at international business that you want to work with, it could be, I don't know, whatever is it that this business is offering. What usually are the criteria that you are observing, that you are looking into before you say, okay, you reach out to a business and say, okay, let's do something together. Because of course, partnership is what business is about. No, nobody can do it alone. Yeah.
So the criteria were, are they ready for a partnership, first of all? So they have to have a team of, let's say, like 1 to 5 people who are dedicated to really getting the ground running and dedicated to making sure that we have the basics in there so we come out to the market and we make the best first impression. Of course, nothing's going to be perfect in the very beginning, but you want to make sure that you have that buy-in. And then the second part is to see, are we both going to benefit from this, or is it just going to be one side? And then the third thing is, how can we measure how successful we are going to be together, and how much time are we going to give into it so that we can see if we did achieve that success. And then the fourth part is, how can we change it and either decide whether we keep going or just reassess, are we going to stay, change, or drop everything because we don't want to be losing money, resources, etc. at the end of the day. Well, the partners that I would work with were usually working with businesses, but then the clients of the partners, or the people that we were trying to reach at the end of the day, were usually working with or going to consumers. Yes.
Mm-hmm. What about marketing? Because when you work with this business, I want to understand that you are mostly in the area of marketing, or I don't know, maybe I'm just over evaluating that.
No, so we would want to have, just like I mentioned before, if we make sure that we have buy-in from the other partner too, then we want to get the marketing material set so that not only does the team internally know why we are working together, but we know what to tell people externally why we are working together to be able to achieve those new business goals. So of course we would have like a bit of a core principle that we would want to follow. Okay, this is what, this is why we're working together, basically, to not get into it too much. But we would want to make sure that both sides are aligned as to why we are jointly approaching this. And we want to prepare people. We want to help them really see which pain they're solving. And at the end of the day, it comes out to that. Why is this a solution? Instead of, hi, my name is Victoria, and this is what I'm here to provide you. Listen to me. Nobody wants to be, as I heard this before, pitch slapped. So it's 2024. You're getting so much information all the time. You don't care about why somebody's reaching out to you on LinkedIn because they have service 1, 2, 3, 4. If somebody tells you, hey, I saw that you have this, and this is a problem that you might be facing, is this true? Somebody that has had this problem before has used strategy 1, 2, 3, and it helped them achieve this other thing. Here's some value first. And then eventually, if they think, okay, like that sounds good, then you can ask them, okay, would you be interested in approaching these things?
Talking of the challenges, the problem, what type of problem would a business have that will demand your attention? How do you diagnose these challenges to know if that is something that you can do? Because I want to believe that you don't solve all type of problem for businesses, correct?
Yes. So when you have seen enough examples of certain different industries, then you see, okay, you mirror, okay, these businesses have these kinds of challenges. So this business that's very similar either in who they're approaching or what they're built like probably has a similar challenge. And if they don't, then okay, they don't have to talk to you. But half of the time they do. And even though things are special and unique, at the same time, from a macro view, a lot of people still want to either get more customers or keep their customers. It's a common business challenge. So if you can show them how to do either one of those two, then I think that you will always be able to get more eyes. However, you have to be able to show them that in a detailed way and in a very targeted way. So if you just say, hey, Victoria, do you want to win more customers? Join my webinar. Of course, I'm going to say, I've heard this a million times before, bye. But if you say, Victoria, I know that you are focused on like B2B partnerships. Other companies I work with have seen challenge 1, 2, 3. How are you familiar with these challenges? Like, here's a way that they have succeeded with this. Then I trust you more. And then I think, okay, I can actually talk to this person.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Now, in these businesses that you are doing, what is the thing that actually satisfy you more than make you continue to do it? Apart from the money, I know the money is important for everybody.
What makes me satisfied from this? I would say my biggest joy is knowing that I'm cultivating these relationships in different places too. And sure, I'm not devaluing relationships within the same place where I am, but I think I take pride in being able to go to a new country and like starting off from the little things like pronouncing somebody's name close to correctly in a language that I've never come across before. I remember when it was Danish, I would go over there and play their name on Google Translate 3 times before I would always say it. And they'd be like, oh, okay, that's pretty close. Like, do you know Danish people? And I'm like, no, but little effort bits like that get people to talk to you more. And so having them going from being a different country that I had no connection to now being able to say, okay, I worked closely with people in Denmark, Sweden, Finland, UK, if you name it, and being able to be that chameleon. And I think that what I took away from it the most is that the best way you can approach a new place is to give them about like 30% of your own character and like 30% of personality away from what they're used to. Because if you give them too much more than that, then they might think, okay, it's like she's just super different. Like it's tougher to break in. They're like, I've never seen that. I just won't understand her. But if you, let's say, mirror how they're talking to them, if they talk to you with a lot of energy, then, don't fake it, but, be energetic back, be excited. But if they're rather quieter and they, are more cautious, then mirror it a bit, give them like 30% of personality and like little bits here and there. But don't give too much, just like you wouldn't in an outside relationship in the beginning when you're getting to know somebody.
That's good. That's good. That's really good. Did you have to learn that before you could get into what you're doing, or is this something that you learn in your trade?
I learned this here. I learned this in my Berlin time in the sales world. And they said mirroring is a great tactic. And then I just remember, even as cliche as it sounds, coming into new places and saying things like, where's the dryer? When you would go somewhere in Europe and people are like, oh, well, people in the US are just always looking for dryers and different energy things. It's like, okay, listen first. Is this person going to be somebody who's going to be like, how are their values? What are their goals and motivations? Okay, you don't have to pretend that you have the same ones as them, but you want to share some more common interests with them, or at least when you're getting to know them, like, okay, this person said that they like football. Okay, I remember there's a match I saw 3 years ago, like Euro Cup is coming up. Are you excited for that? And at the end of the day, that report is what also will change if like they want to do business with you. Of course, you want to have the best solution. You want to have the best service, etc. But at the end of the day, a lot of these things even are pretty similar. And so it comes to, how are they working with you? Do they want to be around you? And are you somebody that they would want to accept?
That's so good. That's so good. I love that. It's what we often say, we often talk about here, which is when we are in story, we need to know who are you in front of, who are you talking to, because that is very important, because you need to look for a way to be the same level with the person. Then it becomes much easier for you to communicate with the person. I really find a lot of value in what you're saying there. Thank you so much for that. Now, how do you see yourself moving into the future? What kind of plan do you have in your business world? Of course, we're moving towards the end.
I would still want to be talking about internationalization, because even though we have AI reducing a lot of the barriers and cutting a lot of the borders, let's be honest, you put something in Google Translate and it can be a cute response, but it's never going to be 100% perfect. And also, even when you see the way, let's say, like business is done in the US, where you do get things done relatively operationally more quickly than they do in Europe, you have to be able to adapt to both sides. or even in Latin America, there are just different peculiarities that you have to follow in order to be able to reach the right people and achieve the goals you want. So I think that these differences, just like I mentioned, of respecting like people's time, or in Germany you want to make sure that you are exactly there on time. You have other countries where people want to say things in a more polite manner, versus in other countries like I would give an example of Northern Europe, where you want to be more direct and give exact results. So I think I would like to still keep helping people understand how to communicate with one another a bit better. And whether it's helping businesses go to the west or to the east, being a bit of a bridge for them.
All right, so you're still going to remain within the international. So yeah, of course, we don't know what the future is going to be, whether you want to remain in Germany, or maybe you'll be in the US, or maybe in Brazil. But in any case, we'll see.
Yes, the thing I would love the most is to keep these remote privileges, because having family and friends in 3 different continents makes it a little bit complicated unless you're the person bumping around and going to see them. So I'm grateful for it, but I have to hopefully get the chance to keep the lifestyle of being remote that we are so lucky to have now.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. All right. Now, for people that want to connect with you, I want to, of course, connection is very important this day. They want to do business with you. Share with them, how can they reach you?
Yes, you can always reach me on LinkedIn. Feel free to send a message with a connection request and saying, I have these international goals, or I've just moved to this country and I would love a few tips as to how to get started here, or anything that has to do with connecting people. I'm always happy to listen and help however I can. And my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Victoria-Brito. So feel free to reach out.
All right, Victoria. So what would be your final thought here to conclude the conversation? We have talked about, of course, your experience in Germany and where you're coming from, and business and growing up and all of that. So share with me, what would be your final thought here to conclude?
Have a growth mindset and think about how you can improve something. No matter how frustrating something is, sure, have your moments of frustration, but don't focus on the frustration. Focus on how you can reduce the borders. Good intentions are usually more important than having things done perfectly, and what's done is better than not, even whether it's not perfect. So focus on how you can improve, and also if you are in a new place, communicate that you want to be part of it too, and make it part of yourself, as well as cherry picking the best parts of wherever you have come from.
Thank you so much for the conversation. It has been a pleasure here. Thank you.
It has been a wonderful time speaking to you too. Thank you.